Thank you for joining today. We have a very inspiring interview. Nick, at the age of 14, he had a traumatic experience during an accident that almost took his life. His parents were told that he will never be able to speak, talk, or eat at his own. But he did not take no for an answer. After that, guess what? He left the hospital running. Can you believe that? Not only that, but he also built a company. He's partner of a very successful real estate company, a 3 times, not just one or two, 3 times bestseller, and an inspirational speaker. Today, we have him here to ask him some very intimate questions. Welcome, Nick.
So excited to be here, Elena. Thank you for having me.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm ready when you are.
If we have a traveling machine and we have the opportunity to go back in time on 2002, how would you describe younger Nick?
It's a great question. I would say the younger me, and that actually that's a perfect segue on your part, because that leads me right into talking about my accident, my story. I was at that point, so 2002, I was in all kinds of sports. There I played soccer. I was in Premier League soccer. I skateboarded. I snowboarded. I did everything. I was doing everything. At one time, I even tried my hand in basketball. So I was always busy. Always every season. So spring, summer, fall, winter. Every season, I had an organized sport. Every single season. So I was always in. Part of that was, Elena, because my parents always wanted to keep me busy with all the energy that I had. They always wanted me to get my energy out with sports. So I actually, it was interesting because if you kind of move into 2003, so 2002 into 2003, I just got to a point where I was, and I think in 2002, I was Premier Soccer. I was on a club team, several club teams, but this one particular club team that I went to different tournaments to all over the state, all over New England, really. And then I just told my parents, I said, I really just need a break. I need a break from
There you go.
all the sport, like always having after school go to practice on the weekends I'd have games. Like I needed a break, and I just wanted to be able to enjoy the time and be a kid with my friends. And it's actually interesting that you asked that question, because that fall, so the fall of 2002 was the first time that I didn't have, because I was always in soccer, I was always doing something like organized. So that was the first time that I actually got to take a breath and be a kid. And I remember really enjoying that fall. I had a motorized scooter that my parents got my sister and they got us both motorized scooters for, I was actually just talking about that with my parents recently, that maybe a year before, or around that time. So I had that motorized scooter and I was having a blast, just go after school, going to hang out at my friend's house, traveling all over. Really all over the town, and got to really spend some good time with my friends, and was enjoying it. Now, if you move further into the fall, once there was a local hill, so I snowboarded. I know I mentioned I skied and snowboarded, but I mainly snowboarded. That was my first love. So really, if anything, you could say that my first thing was snowboarding and
Mhm.
soccer. Those are the two things that I really loved, and I was taking a kind of a hiatus, a little bit of a break from having that organized club soccer, that team soccer. So I was just hanging out with my friends and everything, and then there was a local hill, Elena, that was actually in the town where I grew up in Shrewsbury, Mass, Ward Hill. So Ward Hill opened, uh, believe it was something like November 21st for the
Mhm.
first time.
Wow, you remember the exact date.
I, there are some things that stick. Yeah, there are some things that stick. So I remember
Interesting.
I snowboarded. Um, I snowboarded every day for over a month. I
Wow.
think something like 35 or 40 days, including holidays. So including Thanksgiving and Christmas. I was there every day. And one of the reasons I was there every day, I was a snowboard instructor too. So I, I got paid to go and teach people how to snowboard and basically hang out and have fun with my friends and everything. And it,
How lovely.
yeah, oh, it was great. And then it's interesting because that kind of that leads into January of '03. And then my accident,
February 5th.
yeah, was February 5th of 2003, and I
Mhm.
can actually take you right back to that day. So
Let's go back to that day. And, let's get closer to the time where this incident occurred.
happy to, yes. So that's right where I was going. So um we had previously went away on a vacation
Mhm.
as a family. We went up to Stowe, Vermont every year. We had a timeshare in January. So right after that, it was almost like a week after that, or maybe even less than that, I was at ski club with my friends, and
Mhm.
it was always a big deal whenever we had ski club because we got released a little bit early from school. So that was a big deal when you're 14 years old to miss any bit of school. That's amazing. So my friends and I brought our snowboard gear onto the bus to get ready so as not to miss a precious moment once we got to the mountain.
Of
And
course.
we got to the mountain, headed right for the chairlift because we were ready to go. And on the chairlift ride up, Elena, we noticed that it was very icy because it had been raining earlier in the day. So people were wiping out everywhere. And that wasn't slowing us down. We knew what we were doing, so that definitely wasn't slowing us down. And the chairlift actually went right over the terrain park where all of the jumps were. For those of you non skiers and snowboarders out there, that's where they have all the jumps and the rails and things that you can
Mhm.
do tricks on. So it went right over the terrain park, and I knew as soon as I saw it that I had to go off the biggest jump in the terrain park. So there really wasn't even a doubt in my mind. I was already thinking about what we would do after I landed that huge trick. I mean, maybe grab a burger and fries in the lodge, or we could head over to the other chairlift for some runs on those trails. So, got to the top, buckled into my snowboard, took a breath of that crisp winter air, and confidently charged towards that jump with all my speed. And going up for a jump, I caught the edge of my snowboard, and that's the last thing that I remember.
Wow.
So I learned that they wanted to bring a helicopter to the mountain to rush me to the hospital, and they couldn't because it was too windy.
Wow.
So they had to send an ambulance in to get me there. And out of all the paramedics in the area, there was only one who could intubate right on the spot. And I needed that to be able to breathe. And lucky for me, he was one of the ones that showed up to the mountain that day.
Wow.
And there are still several things that I can't explain from that day because of the accident. But now I know that one of them is the reason why I'm here with you and your listeners today. So, no matter the severity of your crisis, your decision to take action is your first step. So,
Beautiful.
retelling this, it's always easy to remember for me because there's three things that I credit to being with you today and being able to share this. So the first one was the right paramedic showed up. The second one, I later learned that although I didn't have a helmet on, the only protection that my head had was a pair of goggles. Now, the goggles that I wore were very thick with a lot of padding. I never would have fathomed that I would need them to brace my fall, but I learned this is from doctors, experts, eyewitness accounts, people who were there. They told me that not only did they brace my impact initially, as I continued, because it wasn't just one impact, Elena, it was as I continued to roll down the mountain and continued to hit my head, the goggles move. For those of you that are just listening to this, you can't see me, but the goggles move to cushion each blow around my head, between my head and the ice. So the third thing and the most important was once I was in the hospital, once I made it to the hospital, I was out. I was resting in a coma, unable to communicate with anyone, and the only people who were allowed in there were my parents in my room in the intensive care unit. So early on, and this is something obviously that was told to me after the fact, but the doctors, no fault of their own, they're just doing their job. They figure, oh, he's in a coma. He doesn't hear what we're saying. They went to share the prognosis right in front of me to my parents about the situation, how bad, because they can't paint a rosy picture. So they started to share that right in front of me, and my mom stopped them, and she said, no, not in front of him. Because she understood that even though I was in a coma, I was still taking in information. So she made the doctors step outside the room, and then once they were there, that's when they said that I probably wouldn't be able to walk, even if I was able to come out of my coma. They weren't even sure how long I was going to be in the coma at that time. Even if I was able to come out, there was a good chance that I probably wouldn't be able to walk.
And you ran out of the hospital and you're a speaker?
Yeah, they said I wouldn't be able to walk, talk, or eat on my own ever again.
Wow.
And to my parents' credit, they took the information, thanked the doctors, and allowed me to treat it like any other situation. So what this allowed me to do was just treat it like any other situation. I knew no better. Like none of this, because my mom shielded me.
How wise.
None of this negative information got through to me. So I just thought, okay, this is something that happened to me, like anything else in my life. I just have to, okay, we just got to figure it out. We just got to keep working and get back. Like, okay, here's what we have to do to get home. So I ended up being in the coma for 3 weeks. I really don't remember a month because it was a partially induced coma. And it was a month after my accident that the doctors transported me. They had me transported to a rehab hospital in Boston, and that's where I really began my journey. I would say, for lack of a better term, and it was right around this time that I started to unknowingly use a system to not only make a full recovery, but run out of the hospital. And that's what I teach to this day. So what I can do is give like a 10,000 foot view of, that's the STEP system. And STEP is an acronym. Stands for support, trust, energy, and persistence. What I can do is give like a 10,000 foot view. And then if anyone's interested at the end, I can let them know how they can download the whole STEP system for free. So STEP stands for support, you have to make sure that you have the support of your family and friends right from the beginning. And
Mm-hmm.
this is going to have you falling back on relationships that you built prior to your setback. T is trust. So trust that once you take your first step, your next step's always going to be available to you. And this also starts with trusting that voice that we all have inside of
Yes.
ourselves, and making sure you follow it. So I'll tell you where the running out of the hospital came from. So that wasn't just me thinking it up. That was I can remember it was probably shortly after being transported to the rehab hospital. My parents were talking with my team of doctors and therapists, and they were saying, okay, what do we need to do to make sure Nick makes a full recovery? I heard in the back of my head, you're going to run out of the hospital. So then running out of the hospital became our common goal. This is even before I could talk, so I was able to communicate that to the rest of the team, and that became our common goal.
Excellent.
And then if you go further into the acronym, E is energy. So maintaining your energy allows your body's natural ability to be able to heal itself. And medication has the potential to get in the way of that. So obviously within reason here, that first night in the hospital,
Yes.
it's $250,000. So if it wasn't for modern medicine, I wouldn't be here today.
That's true.
However, there's a use time and place for everything. So a month after my accident was the time that we needed to allow my body to get off the medication, allow my body to heal. And then to finish step P is persistence. So once you take your first step, keep getting up every day and taking your next step, no matter how small. And by continuing to move forward every day, you are building an unstoppable momentum.
I love it.
So
That's beautiful.
if you fast forward less than 60 days later after being transported to the rehab hospital, I realized my goal of running out of the hospital. And Elena, it really wasn't like my work was done at that point. I had to continue to go to outpatient therapy for another 6 months, along with being tutored all summer long, 5 days a week, in order to continue on to high school with the rest of my classmates. So I think this is the perfect time. If you have, I'd be happy to dive in and go further into any piece of what I shared, and then we can keep going from there.
Let's, in the step system, as you mentioned, that it's important to build those relationships with family. Sometimes some individuals, perhaps men, struggle with connecting intimately with other family members or friends, specifically to those high-performing men who struggle in asking for help. What would you say will be a way or step to start?
This is always a form of this question comes up, and I'll feed it back to you to make sure that I'm on the right track here. So what you're wondering is the people that don't have the support. So like men out there who don't have that support.
Maybe they do. They just don't know how to ask for help, because we all, in some form, have support. People are there just ready. Some of us are ready to help, but just there's some high-performing men who struggle with saying, "I need help," especially emotionally. That's where my question comes from.
I would say, all right. So like you said, you said in your question, that support is it's always there, whether it's family or it's someone else, like always coming around asking if they can help. But the high performance the high performance men, um, don't feel like it is probably based on society, really.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't feel, they don't feel right asking for help. And I would say this, I always liken it to, and I know I might be getting ahead of myself here, but as far as asking for help. So, um, we can revisit this in the future. I just want to touch on this because I think it's so important. So, asking for help. Uh, I didn't get here today, both going through my accident and starting my company, Common Goal, and doing, being a partner at Smart Real Estate Coach, with my dad and things that you mentioned. So I didn't get here on my own. I always had help to get there, and I think,
Mm-hmm.
for years, I can really, liken this back to, for years, I really, we're kind of going, not in chronological order here, Lena, but I think this is good. Um, Ever since I got out of high school, I've always had
Mm-hmm.
this voice in the back of my head that's always telling me whatever it is I'm doing, um, no matter sales, marketing, as a realtor, I worked as a realtor for a while, as an investor, which I'm still an investor now, or coaching, training, consulting, what we do now. Whatever I'm doing, that voice has always been there, and it's always said, yeah, great, Nick. What you really need to be doing, though, is telling your story from stage and helping trauma, life accident, life crisis victims through their challenge first, and then so that they're able to thrive with the rest of their lives. So that voice has always been there, and I think, after high school, leading up until, um, about 4 years ago, like more like 4.5 years ago, but I was just kind of winging it on my own, trying to get out there and just trying to, like, I would tell my story a few times a year at, events that we had, and I would always, like, that voice would die down. So that voice would get quieter because I was sharing my story at our events, maybe once, every year or two, or once or twice a year. And I always thought, oh, okay, that's because I'm speaking, I'm sharing my story from stage. Kind of, not really. I think the game changer for me, came in 2019
Mm-hmm.
when I shared my story at one of our events, and there was a woman who approached me after, and she complimented me on, the way I shared my talk, and said if I had an amazing story, if I was ever looking to fine tune it and bring it to another level, she could help, so it could help the most amount of people. She could introduce me to a few coaches and mentors that have helped her along the way. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I really wasn't ready yet, because I was going through, at the time that she saw me, I was going through a, voice challenge that I had.
Mm-hmm.
So, at the time that she saw me talk in, September of 2019, it sounded like there was a lot of tension, like it was really hard to get the words up. That's how it sounded. It didn't feel that way, but that's how it sounded. I had a lot of, tension, like, muscle tension in my throat that made it sound that way. So I wasn't ready yet. I was in the final throes of the voice issue, and however, I always held on to her card. So it took until May of 2021 for me to, obviously, I don't have the voice issue anymore. I'm able to share my story with you today. All the speaking that I do, I don't have an issue with my voice anymore, thank God. Um, so I waited until that had worked its way out, and then in May of, 2021, I finally reached out to her, Elena, and I said, okay, what do I need to do? Who do I need to talk to? She introduced me to, her mentor, who became my mentor, And I told her what I was looking to do. I shared my story, and she told me I should do the speaker salon. That was, you commute to New York City for 6 weeks in a row, and you get to tell you get to craft a talk, like a 10 to 15 minute talk with up to 10 other speakers on stage at the Triad Theater in New York City, and get her live direction and feedback on crafting that. Then on the 6th week, you perform it for influencers, TEDx organizers, event planners, podcast hosts, people that are looking to book speakers for their stages. So she said that's 25,000. I said yes, because this goes back to the voice that we all have inside of us. So I had to do this. I had to follow this voice. So I said yes. And this is a long way to answer your question, but I'll get there. I promise. We're getting close. Then Elena, during the speaker salon, Trisha pitched the idea of what it would look like to work with her one-on-one. And she says she helps speakers to build out their speaker platform. I didn't even know what that was. I mean, before her, I maybe share my talks at our events for maybe 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. She said, that's 75,000. I said, I don't have that in my back pocket. Give me a week and I'll figure it out. And 6 days later, I wired her the money. I figured it out. And it's the best decision that I ever made. So getting that help, asking for help. I told you we'd get there. Getting that help, because it was so crucial to work with Trisha and the work that we did, because she helped me launch my company, Common Goal. She was the one, the step system was all just internal. It was just how I've dealt with things since I was a kid, my entire life. And Trisha, what she did was pull the step system out of me. I remember, obviously, I was paying a lot of money for these calls. I had 10 calls with her, an hour long each. The first call, I think I may have ended the call early because I was so frustrated with her, because she said, all right, you have this story. You were in a snowboarding accident. You were in a coma for 3 weeks. Then you ran out of the hospital. How'd you do it? I said, I don't know. I just got up every day and kept working. And eventually I got there. I ran out of the hospital. She goes, no, not good enough. Asking me like 6 or 7 layers deep, Elena, and to a point where I was really frustrated with her. And I was like, I don't know. And I think I may have even ended the call early. And I was paying a lot of money for those calls. It was funny, but I'm so happy that I went through that process with her, because she pulled the step system out of me, helped birth the step system with me. Now I know exactly what a speaker platform is, because she helped me launch my business, Common Goal. We together wrote several talks and keynotes. Now I give keynotes to Brain It, 45 and 60-minute plus keynotes to brain injury associations and other organizations that support individuals that are going through trauma all over the country. And if you would have told me that this is what I would be doing prior to working with Trisha, even back 2018, 2019, I would have told you you were nuts. I didn't see it at that time, but asking for help is the main reason that I'm here.
And asking and accepting help, right? So not only she helped you to develop your speaking career, but from May 2021 to 2022, you were the top motivational speaker at Yahoo Finance. So it took you how long? Just probably a year? Wow. Incredible story. This is very inspiring to listen to everything that you're saying. So what I hear you saying is that when you, first of all, listen to your intuition, to the little voice that is telling you, you're supposed to be doing this. In your case, was speaking. And when the opportunity comes, grab that help and go for it. Because that voice inside of you is never wrong.
Oh, I love it. I love what you shared. I think it was the fact that my accident happened, my snowboarding accident happened. And then right after school, I dabbled like I was sharing.
Mhm.
I didn't really ask for help, but I kind of dabbled here and there. Like I went to a Toastmasters meeting
Mm.
year, and then maybe another year I went to another couple meetings there. And I shared a 10-minute talk at our event a few years later. Like I was dabbling. I wasn't really committing to saying this is what I want to do to help the most amount of people. Um, and once I made that commitment, really, it's not a so. I think even right after I got out of school, it was okay. Well, I'll give this a few months. I'll try to do this for a few months, and if it doesn't work out, I'll just go and really focus on get my real estate license and like the family real estate business. Um, that's really how I was treating it back then, like right after I graduated high school. I think when 2021 came and I had worked that voice issue out of my system, making that commitment first to do the speaker salon, and then to work with Trisha one on one, making those commitments, it was kind of a thing, like I said, on a soul level, I had to do it. Um, there was no consult like I had to think about it. Like when I was asked, yes, I'm doing this. I didn't have to go ask permission or,
Certainty.
yeah, it was just a wholehearted yes, in my soul that I had to do this, to really fulfill my purpose, I guess,
Wow.
because, um, and I haven't shared this yet. Since I've been on this track, since that initial call with Trisha, there has been no voice in the back of my head. So,
Wow.
what that's evidence of me of is that I'm doing exactly what I was put in this earth to do.
So listen to that voice. It's not wrong. It's there to remind you, and it won't give up until you do what you're meant to do in this life,
Oh, it
which
won't.
is your life
It
purpose.
won't because if you think of it, I had my snowboarding accident. I just treated it like, oh, okay, it's something that happened to me when I was younger. I got through it. I ran out of the hospital. I did what anyone else would do in that situation. I never thought it was a big deal. However, the more and more that I share my story with people, I'm learning that it's kind of a big deal to do that. And I think the whole voice issue.
Mhm.
So if I can go back to that, I think the voice issue happened because I wasn't listening to that voice.
Wow.
Um, that's exactly why. Because
Yeah.
I developed it. I developed it back in 2012. So at this time, I was a full-time realtor. I was helping buyers and sellers, and I was living on my own, and I was able to support myself, and like I said, doing sales one or two a month, helping buyers and sellers. But I think this whole voice issue happened because I wasn't listening to
The internal
the
voice.
guidance from earlier in my life, because I always felt like this is not something I share very often. I hope it's okay. I always felt like Yeah, I have this story. I got into my snowboarding accident and then I ran out of the hospital. I did what anyone would do in that situation. Um, I think I needed to prove to myself that that wasn't a fluke. I guess if that makes sense. Like I had to get experience. Um, this is what I was thinking in my mind: experience in the real world. So, helping buyers and sellers as a real like um, I had to have success and get experience in the real world before I could help and coach and advise people uh,
Beautiful.
on what to do. And I think that's why the whole voice issue developed. So in 2012, I developed the voice issue. I was looking everywhere for answers. I started to notice it in like August or September. I mean, there's something in 2012. There's something not right here. So I looked everywhere for answers and went to my primary care physician. He checked me out, checked on my vital signs, and said, "Yo, you fine. Maybe just take some time off and rest your voice from being on the phone because I would use my voice a lot as a realtor." Um, and so I figured, oh, okay, that maybe that's it. Um, and I took some time off. That wasn't really helping, and I went to ear, nose, and throat doctor. Everything, allergists, I went to all these different kinds of doctors.
Mm-hmm.
I was even going to speech therapy on my own at the end of 2012 and into 2013, the first quarter of 2013. I was
Mm-hmm.
still a speech therapist on my own and to kind of figure out what the issue was and get exercises and things like that. Everything I was doing with them, I mean, it gave me coping strategies, if anything, to kind of deal with the issue, but nothing I ever did was really fixing it.
Mm-hmm.
So it took until June of 2013 for them to come to me and say, I had a final meeting with them. They said, we have tried everything that we can think of. We've given you every technique, every strategy. And at this point, the only thing that we can recommend is that you go to Boston and see the voice specialist. And
Mm-hmm.
um, there are only 35 of these in all of North America. One of
Wow.
them was right in Boston, a 2 hour drive away. So after a year of looking and no one being able to tell me what was wrong, it was amazing, Elena, because this guy walked in the room. This is August of 2013, heard me speak, and right away nonchalantly goes, "Oh, that? Yeah, we deal with that all the time. Go to the front desk and schedule
Wow.
hell for a Botox injection in a couple weeks." So I was like, my mouth was like hit the floor. I was blown away.
You got to the right
Yeah,
place.
exactly. I felt like, oh, good, like someone finally gets us. So I got scheduled. I started getting Botox injections in August of 2013, and I continued to get them for another 7.5 years, along with their higher level voice therapists to kind of, because what would happen, when I would have a Botox injection, it would relieve the
Mm-hmm.
tension in my
Mm-hmm.
throat, not cosmetically. There are medical uses of Botox. A lot of people don't know that, but I would lose my voice, and then when it would come back in a couple weeks after that, I would work with their voice pathologist, their speech therapist, to kind of train my
Mm-hmm.
voice back to how it was before I developed any issues. So,
Wow.
I continue doing that. Like I said, I continue getting the Botox injections for another 7.5 years, along with their. You were gonna say something?
Oh, no, no, but I'm listening.
Okay.
But I was thinking that thank you for asking that. I was thinking that how beautiful is that Maybe your accident, it was just simply a feedback mechanism from the universe to put you into to guide you in the right direction. And at that time that you have a story, you still did not think about sharing your story, and he kept giving you the messages through that voice until you absolutely listen, and he guided you through the right person to in Boston to help you with that, and finally give you the power of speaking. And I also was thinking that even one word I define who is Nick Prefontaine, I will say the speaker. That's what I would say. It was not the kid who had a brain injury. It was not the kid who loves sports. It's not the man who knows real estate. It's the one who speaks and he says and shares a beautiful, inspiring, heartfelt story, who is going to help a lot of individuals to overcome tragedy, trauma, and so many things. What do you think?
I love that. That's I think in our we have in office events. They're called the in the trenches boot camp for our real estate smart real estate coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I shared like a 5-minute piece of like what I just shared with them about having the voice issue and everything, like a 5 or 10 minute piece. And then someone from the audience, and there was like 40 or 50 people here, but they said, they shared and they said, I would have never known that you had a voice issue because they only met me after 2021.
Yeah.
And I said, that's the, like, oh my God, first off, I said, that's the biggest compliment that you could give me. Thank you. And for you to tell me you view me not as a real estate investor, coach, consultant, or anything else, you view me as a speaker that's helping people through their trauma so that they're able to thrive with the rest of their lives. That's right there on that level.
Yeah.
That's a huge compliment. So I appreciate that. I accept that first off, and I just say thank you.
So the accident was just the content of your different presentations.
You
The
were
reason
content.
to speak. Yes, but you were born to be a speaker. So, Nick, are you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Absolutely.
All right. Here we go. Coma. Coma.
What about it?
What comes to your mind first? I'm going to just say some words.
Nothingness.
Stillness.
Meditation.
Step.
1.
Eye contact.
Window to the soul. I know it's on one word, but
I gave you 2 words. It's fair. Trauma.
resilience.
Speech.
Human right.
7.
777.
14.
That's the year I got in my snowboarding accent.
Reward.
What?
Reward.
Reword?
Reward. A reward. A
A
gift.
reward. Okay.
Reward.
byproduct of helping people.
Life.
Magical experience.
Therapy.
We're talking what type of therapy? Physical?
Whatever comes to mind.
Necessary.
Golf.
Intentions.
Success.
Living it.
Family.
Everything.
Money.
Necessary.
Intimacy.
Necessary.
Love.
Ho'oponopono.
Manhood.
Feel like it's a personal experience.
Sex. Why, there's a smile over there. I saw a smile. Your face just
I wasn't trying to do that. I feel like it's beautiful experience.
normal. What normal means to you?
Boring.
I love it. How about 2 words? You can't.
I don't know what that is. I don't recognize. I can't.
I love it. And I'm going to say this. I'm a little shy with this one, but on behalf of my 14-year-old nephews, fart machine.
Gramp.
Excellent. So, your life by far has not been just roses and summertime. You have some challenges, some difficulties, some things to share. As I said earlier, you are the speaker. In my book, that's your name. That's my name I'm giving you, the speaker. And even with all of those things, what has been the biggest struggle individually for you that you might have or not share in your life?
I don't know if I call it a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
But I really like to meet a good woman.
And you will. And you will.
I feel like that's on the horizon. It's like just ahead. But if there's anything that's missing from my life, I wouldn't call it a struggle. I believe that when I'm ready for that amazing woman to relationship, she'll show up in my life. That's why I don't stress about her.
I appreciate you said that, because I perceive that a lot of men, you might say this is something that you might miss in your life perhaps, but there are men there who really struggle trying to find that that person, that woman. And let me ask you that. Let me ask you, what would be for you the right woman? For a man of your caliber, your experience, your life, your deepness, your beautiful self, what will be, how would you describe the right woman?
Independent. Um,
Ooh, maybe she's calling you.
Independent. Family oriented. Strong values. Um, like has like her own life and own things going on. Um, however, when we get together, it's like nothing else. It's like unmatched. Um, yeah, that's how I feel. I've always felt that way.
If there are some women right now listening to this, or for all those women that also struggle to communicate that they are in the same journey, trying to find a man just like you, just as perfect and beautiful and simple as you, what advice would you give to those women?
I feel like, and this is true for me as it is
Mhm.
for anyone else that hasn't found that person yet.
Correct.
Um, I feel like and I've always believed this, that this is why I don't stress out. Like when I was younger, call it 10 or 15 years ago, I used to really like be in my head about this, like really stressing out about this. But what I've come to understand is that um, I've already hinted at it before, but when I'm ready, and I keep working on myself, and I just keep trying to get a little bit better every day. I keep trying to improve myself. Um, when I'm ready, I feel like that the right person will appear. And I feel like that's a very healthy attitude to have, especially with all the messaging and all the things going on out there. If you look at social media or you look at anything, media in general, or the news, the internet, it's always you have to like meet a person young, get married, have kids. So like you have do all the things. Like
Yeah.
there's so much messaging of that out there.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean that it's right, and it's not right for everyone. And I think just trusting that by continuing to work on yourself, continuing to work to get better, you're eventually going to meet that person.
So what I hear you saying is that there is an expectation of some individual. However, in order to reach or to be a pair for that individual, it is relevant that we continue our journey and continue to evolve so we can reach that level and pair our person.
That's fair. Yeah, that's accurate. Um, that's accurate. And I feel that I'm never going to stop growing.
Love.
So I want to meet a person who has that mindset as well. That wants to continue to get better as well.
And I know you will. I know you will. All right. So let's talk about money. What would your younger Nick believes about money, and have those evolved as you rebuild your professional and personal life?
I think there was probably, I would say, prior to following this calling and this journey, there was always a scarcity mindset and a lack mindset of I'm not going to have enough, therefore I have to continue to work and accumulate more and more. Um, and I feel like since I've been on this journey, call it 4.5 years ago, um, maybe even a little longer than that, 4.5 or 5 years ago, since I've been on this path, this journey with starting my speaking, common goal, and everything. I think it's less about strategies and accumulation, and I'm not going to have enough, therefore I have to keep working for it. It's more that because I'm doing exactly what I was put on this earth to do, I'm going to be taken care of. And it's not something I have to worry about. And as soon as I let go of that, my life became a lot simpler. And it continues to get simple. Like more and more, it just continues to evolve and get simpler and simpler and simpler. So that I'm able to get out there and help more people by sharing my message.
Well, your message is beautiful. Your life purpose is extraordinary. And I know you will be changing many individuals' life just by listening to your story. This has by far been a very inspiring interview to me. And as I reflect into everything you said today with regards to life purpose, money, relationships, intimacy, and all of those questions that I ask and you answer, I cannot help it but come up to the conclusion that, number one, find your purpose, listen to that voice, and don't stop listening because you will continue to get feedback one way or another. Then listen to the feedback if you didn't listen to the voice. Once you go and dedicate your life to the reason why you came here to this world, abundance will come to you in a form of money, relationships, support, and everything else that you need. And most importantly, do not take no for an answer. Thank you, Nick. It has been a pleasure to have you here today. What a beautiful man you are. And I look forward to hear more from everything that you create and to, why not, seeing those pictures of your perfect girl.
Oh, thank you. I think there's so much that we talked about, but it's really only a 10,000 foot view of the step system. So if anyone's interested in learning more about the step system, they can head to nickprefontaine.com/step and download the whole step system for free today and learn all about support, trust, energy, and persistence. And this is really important for people that are stuck or challenged, don't know what to do. It's a great first step because once you take your first step, there will always be a next step.
Step, support, trust, energy, and persistence. Thank you, Nick.